Hello and welcome to The Big Fight. For a long time, people have been asking what exactly is the government's big strategy when it comes to Kashmir, when it comes to Pakistan. Accusations sometimes of a flip-flop back and forth, especially when it comes to Pakistan. But now it seems that there's a very clear new contour that seems to be emerging. This week we did see Rajnath Singh going back to the valley. Second time he's going, clearly sounding conciliatory, talking about the fact that pellet guns need to be removed and alternatives are going to be found, sounding actually far more conciliatory than Mehbooba Mufti was actually sitting right next to him. So a softer approach in Kashmir and also a much tougher approach with Pakistan and the using of the Balochistan, talking about it, referring to Balochistan, Gilgit and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir in the Independence Day speech. So is this going to be the strategy now? Let's be soft internally, especially within Kashmir. It's an internal issue, has to be settled and handled with sensitivity and with worrying about the local people, and yet take a really tough line with Pakistan. And perhaps this is going to happen all the way through to the UN General Assembly and further beyond. So I've got all the best experts I could think of to help us understand this particular strategy who are joining us on the program. Let me start off by welcoming from Kashmir. We do have with us Shajat Bukhari and also Engineer Rashid, who's an independent MLA from Jammu and Kashmir, perhaps one of the first MLAs in Kashmir to be openly, seems to be espousing a separatist sort of a line. We have with us Air Vice Marshal Shahzad Chaudhry joining us from Pakistan. Joining us from London, Hamal Haider, who's the spokesperson of the Baloch National Movement. So it's great to have you joining us on the program. Muzaffar Beg, one of the top leaders from Jammu and Kashmir. It's always a privilege to talk to you, sir. Senior leader from there, former Deputy Chief Minister, of course, of Jammu and Kashmir. Muzaffar Beg is with us as well, and we're going to be talking to you in a couple of minutes. And here in the Delhi studio, we do have with us Ajoy Kumar, representing the Congress Party, GVL Narasimha Rao, the spokesperson of the BJP. Mr. Kamal Sibal, former Foreign Secretary who's dealt with India's foreign policy in great detail. Praveen Swami, National Editor, Strategic and International Affairs at the Indian Express. Also with us, Jyoti Malhotra, Senior Journalist. Thank you all so much for joining us. Can I just start perhaps with you, Muzaffar Beg Saab, and just ask you what you make of what seems to be the strategy that is unfolding now in Kashmir? Is it a specific strategy that you think is now being taken? There has to be a healing touch. You have to directly engage with people in the valley and listen to whatever the grievances are.
The latest development is a welcome step. For quite some time, frankly speaking, we did not have any policy vis-a-vis Kashmir. The last policy initiative was to appoint interlocutors. Unfortunately, their report, which was prepared after 18 months of hard work and groundwork, nobody even looked at it. So it took the unfortunate incident which the Kashmir Valley and other areas witnessing today to awaken us to the urgent need, a categorical necessity of formulating a policy not only towards Pakistan but also towards the people of Jammu and Kashmir. I think that the two visits of the Home Minister, particularly yesterday's visit in which he was very soft, very suave, though he's a very, very strong man, a man of depth, I think that he did, his body language, his language was quite placatory, he's keeping the doors open. However, there were no takers from the secessionist or de-accessionist group, and there will be no takers till two things happen. First, Pakistan gets a cold shoulder from the United Nations. Till then, Hurriyat Conference will not be forthcoming. They will not undercut Pakistan's position in the international community. Pakistan is externalizing, internationalizing the issue. Hurriyat Conference would not like to go against that. Secondly, unless we do some groundwork, some behind-the-scene rapprochement with the secessionists, they will not be forthcoming.
By the way, that may be one of the reasons why India is talking about Balochistan right now. Pakistan really tries to create too much of a shindig at the United Nations.
Vikram, there is another reason. Very few people know this was supposed to be confidential. In the all parties meeting, the foreign minister apprised the members present there that there had been some sort of communication received from the United Nations on the complaint of Pakistan to send a human rights investigation team in Kashmir. When that information was given to the members, starting from Congress, everybody opposed that. And it was the collective response was that Pakistan should mend its own house. They have no locus standi to ask United Nations to look into our affairs. They must look at what is happening in Balochistan. So this Balochistan came up in response to the information that Government of India had received and shared with us, that they are asking for a UN commission to investigate human rights violations in Kashmir. I think that was the reason why Prime Minister had to take up this issue on 15th of August.
Hamal Haider, just want to talk to you first. As the fact that Balochistan is being spoken about right now, is that from the point of view of the Baloch cause a good thing or a bad thing? I've heard both. A lot of leaders of the Baloch movement have welcomed it. Many of them are in exile. Does it increase whatever is happening? I mean, you and others have been talking about Pakistani repression inside Balochistan. Will that be increased because of the statements that all of you are making? We saw pictures on Independence Day just a few days back from inside Balochistan, people waving Indian flags out there. What sort of a reaction is that going to have from the Pakistani state?
I mean, just let me tell you that the situation is already worse there. It's more than worse. And people are being abducted on a daily basis. And the Home Minister of Balochistan a week ago acknowledged that they arrested, and in his words, 13,000, more than 13,000 people. So it clearly shows that the situation is already worse there. And the statement Prime Minister Modi issued in support of Balochistan, I don't think will make the situation in Balochistan any worse. So, I mean, the people, as you mentioned, the people have welcomed Prime Minister Modi's statement, and people are very excited. And, this is the first time that a government, a country has expressed support to our movement, and we are really grateful to Prime Minister Modi. His support for our people, and we wish he will do more for us in the future.
Hamal Haider, inside Balochistan, I mean, okay, the population of Balochistan for a province that large is not very high. There's a very strong Pakistani presence there. What eventually are your hopes and aspirations? What do you think can happen in Balochistan?
There's been a war since Pakistan acquired Balochistan in 1948, and people are not happy with Pakistani government. So, I mean, unless Balochistan is freed, the political situation will not be okay there. So the tension between Baloch nationalists and between the Pakistani establishment will always be there unless the issue is resolved. And, we have been ignored, and our issue has not getting any coverage in international media and mainstream Pakistani media, and even international journalists are not allowed to go there. So that's the basic reason people don't know about Balochistan in the world. But the situation is worse, and it will be worse in the future as well.
All right. Air Vice Marshal Shehzad Chaudhry, is this something that has taken Pakistan a bit by surprise and a bouncer that's sort of got you weaving a little bit? Because Pakistan repeatedly talks about Kashmir and what's been happening out there. And I think what Prime Minister Modi has done is to say, look, you are to some extent living in a glass house yourself, so perhaps you've got to be a little careful of how many stones are being thrown. You've just had a statement, by the way, in Sindh from Altaf Hussain. He's okay, he's apologized later, but you've had one of the prominent leaders of a political party like the MQM saying that Pakistan is a cancer on the world. It's a rather strong statement to make from a prominent Pakistani political party. He apologized, but the fact that he said it means that there are internal issues for Pakistan to grapple with.
One, he's not a Pakistani politician. He's a politician who used to be a Pakistani, but now is a British citizen. So obviously you can't refer to him as a Pakistani citizen or a Pakistani political leader. That is one. Secondly, so that should take care of Altaf Hussain once for all in terms of his actual status. In terms of Balochistan, Balochistan is, you said Pakistanis are living there. Well, it is part of Pakistan, not since the last 20 years or 30 years since Pakistan came into being. So I really am surprised that you make a statement while addressing a question to the other participant. Which
actually,
is
that then would be a statement of fact. I mean, if you are saying it's part of Pakistan, then there are Pakistanis living there. What's wrong with saying that?
No, you said you were asking the Baloch participant that there are, but along with the Balochs there are Pakistanis living there. I don't know what do you mean by that, but
fine.
I think
So
that's a
Punjabis,
very wrong way of
Hindis,
putting something.
people from elsewhere, all living inside Balochistan.
No.
Their numbers are.
There are over 6 million Balochis, and Balochis have run that province. Balochis have been are part of Pakistan. They are Pakistan. So Balochistan is Pakistan. So there is obviously no question on that. Thirdly, on the glass house, I think aren't all of us in the same situation? We all live in glass houses. Now your 200 plus districts of your own country are under some sort of insurgency, and so therefore I don't think any one of us can refer to the other. But I think there's a very clear difference that you must make.
Can I just discuss that glass house bit?
Let me complete. Let me complete.
The number of parts of India that are actually completely stable, if you were to really start, I'm not saying India should ever compare itself with Pakistan, nor should it try to equate itself with Pakistan for a number of reasons I'm not going to go into right now. But actually, 90 to 95% of India is perfectly stable and is likely to be perfectly stable. There are small pockets where there are problems.
Well, I don't know what's
quite unlike Pakistan.
I don't know what's happening.
Theoretically, you've got a problem in Gilgit, you've got a problem in Balochistan, you've got a problem in the Northwest Frontier province.
Vikram, your program is not meant to be of this kind. I think let's get into a more logical discussion. Okay. Yeah. The point here is you cannot equate Kashmir with Balochistan. Kashmir is an international issue between two states, bona fide states, Pakistan and India, recognized by the United Nations as a disputed territory and still outstanding for resolution. So that is as far as Kashmir is concerned. So when Pakistan raises a voice on Kashmir or the status of human rights there, or for that matter the resolution of that particular territory, then obviously it is talking under the larger realm of the United Nations.
Is that
resolutions and the United Nations Charter?
Kamal Sibal, you want to respond to that?
Let me complete my sentence. When you talk of Balochistan, you are actually interfering in the matters of the state of another, which is against the Charter of the United Nations.
But how is India interfering? India is saying that you've got to worry about the human rights of people in Balochistan. India is entitled to say that. India can say we are worried about the human rights of people kidnapped by Boko Haram. It doesn't mean that India is invading Nigeria or doing something out there. If India says that there's a human rights problem, look at the pictures, Mr. Shahzad Chaudhry, that you see every day coming out. People being picked up, people being tortured, mutilated bodies being thrown on the street. If there's a human rights problem, then you're entitled to say it's a human rights problem.
Come on, Vikram. You're far bigger than this.
Then what?
Then to say you got to listen to you got to listen to your guests. Otherwise, if you want to talk, then I can just sit here and I don't know.
You spoke. I'm just asking you a question. I'm waiting for you to answer to that.
Balochistan, in terms of the Article 2, Subpara 4 of the UN Charter, you cannot, even if a civil war goes on in another country, you are not meant. You're not meant to intervene. And our biggest problem today in Balochistan is not the BLA or the BRA, the people that you get represented on this program. Our biggest problem is the terrorism that is taking place either because of around sectarian grounds, or for that matter being sponsored from Afghanistan. That is our biggest problem today, and that is what we are fighting against. The Baloch liberation was a problem.
When you train,
and there are gaps. There are gaps
feed wild animals, they will come back and bite you.
There are gaps in what we need to do.
Simple lesson, don't encourage terrorists.
Political gaps in
if you spend decades building up terrorism, sometime it is going to come back and hurt you. It's a lesson you should have learned by now. By the way, all countries should learn it. I'm not saying that India should encourage terrorism for the same reason. Never encourage a terrorist, never train a terrorist, because the terrorist will someday come back and attack you. And that's part of what Pakistan is seeing.
Sure enough, I can tell you that. I mean, that's what India needs to remember when you're talking about your 4 regular consulates and 11 sub-offices around the eastern, southeastern Afghanistan.
All right. This is not supposed to be an argument between you and me, sir. Mr. Kamal Sibal, you want to just respond to what he said? Then I do want to get back to Kashmir.
But I want to ask him, when they interfered in the crisis in Punjab, when there was the Khalistan movement, were they interfering in our internal affairs or not? When on Babri Masjid they went to town, I was Foreign Secretary then, the Gujarat riots, President Musharraf went to town in the UN General Assembly. Was that not interference in our internal affairs? Likewise, when the
we've never spoken of the way that you.
Of course he did. I was there myself. So when on the Babri Masjid they went to town and launched an international campaign, wasn't it interference in our internal affairs? When they commit terrorist acts, assuming for a moment that in Kashmir they have a right to commit terrorism, but when they commit terrorist acts all over India, in Bombay, in Delhi, in Varanasi, in Jaipur, in Bangalore, wasn't that interference in internal affairs? So this kind of an argument, self-serving argument, that simply because Prime Minister Modi has spoken about human rights situation. Okay. Now, when let's say President Obama says something about so-called intolerance in India, this can be seen as an internal, as an interference in internal affairs. Okay. So, and in fact, human rights issues have become such that countries are pronouncing on human rights violations in so many countries. It's now not accepted that it is purely an internal affair. Therefore, for Pakistan to argue that Prime Minister Modi cannot speak about human rights violations in Balochistan, to my mind, has no legs to stand upon. It's a totally wrong argument. Finally, let me make one point about these UN resolutions and this and that. Since 1957, there has been no UN resolution. The UN has totally disinterested itself in the whole issue. In the 1972 similar agreement, Pakistan agreed that this issue will be solved bilaterally. But Pakistan has constantly violated all understanding it has reached with India.
Okay.
And as a default position, since they have no answer to anything, they start speaking about
it. I want to come back to Kashmir. Sujat Bukhari, Engineer Rashid are still there. Muzaffar Beg is there. I want to come back to it, but I'm about to lose a signal to my guest from Pakistan and also from London. So let me just finish with that, and then I'll come back to this. Hamad Haider, you heard what Air Vice Marshal Shehzad Chaudhary was saying, that India has no right to say anything in Balochistan, and at the end of the day, the only problem that there is one of terrorism, which is being fanned from across the border. How would you like to respond to that?
Mr. Chaudhary said Balochis are part of our country. Balochi love to be Pakistani. Actually, this is not Balochi. He doesn't know how to call us. We are called Baloch. Balochi is our language. For the 68 years, even the Pakistani rulers haven't learned how to call us. So this is basically a problem of mentality, and we have never been part of Pakistan. And if you talk about historical facts, so in 1948, Pakistan forcefully annexed Balochistan and forcefully invaded Balochistan with army forces. Similarly, they invaded the Pakistani occupied Kashmir. And in 1957, the United Nations asked Pakistan to pull out its army, and Pakistan never respected that UN mandate. So these are historical facts. On the other hand, Balochistan, I know there is no media coverage and there is no talk about Balochistan, but you cannot change the facts, and facts are facts. So Balochistan has never been part of Pakistan. And people there, a majority of the people there don't want to be part of Pakistan. And you saw that all major political parties welcomed Prime Minister Modi's statement of support, and actually that clearly shows that Baloch people don't want to be part of Pakistan, and it is our right. And secondly, we said we are terrorists or something like that. So we are political people. My party's chairman, Ghulam Ahmad Baloch, was abducted and brutally killed after 3 days of abduction. So he was a politician. He was sitting in his loyal office. So, the terrorists is Pakistani army and Pakistani intelligence agencies. As I mentioned before, more than 13,000 people were arrested, and they acknowledge it. Now, I want to ask Mr. Chaudhary, where are they? Why they are not represented before the court? Because they have been shifted to torture cells, and they acknowledge this. They have been torture cells, and they will be killed one by one. We know that, and every day we see 2 or 3 political activists' bodies are thrown in the place in Balochistan. So this is the situation.
All right, Hamad Haider, thank you so much for joining us. Air Vice Marshal Shehzad Chaudhary, I know I'm about to lose the signal to you, sir. Any final comments you have, including, one of the simplest and the best ways of establishing exactly whatever's happening in Balochistan is to just allow foreign journalists in, allow foreign press in. And by the way, Pakistan's asking for human rights groups or the United Nations to send human rights groups to Kashmir. Perhaps you could allow them inside Balochistan. What's wrong with that?
Absolutely. There is no restriction whatsoever. If you want to come in, please let us know. We'll have that arranged for you.
Is that a promise?
Done. But let me just
Is that a promise? I'm going to hold you to that.
Let me know when you want
because
to do
so
that.
far we haven't
And
got
secondly,
one. No visa to go to Balochistan.
You know the fringe that you actually carry on these television chat shows, these 30-odd people who are living on Indian largesse and Indian passports, is not someone who represents the Baloch. There's a Baloch assembly in
doesn't have an Indian passport.
There's a Balochistan. There's a Balochistan provincial assembly. There are Baloch representatives in the Senate of Pakistan. Equal number as for all other provinces. So I really don't know who are the people that you bring along with Indian passports, or not living on Indian largesse.
We have an elected assembly in Kashmir where 75% of the people of Jammu and Kashmir have voted. The whole world has watched this election.
Quickly on Kashmir.
I think you can't compare yourself. Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir is a democratically elected government, and you have been shamelessly
let me talk about Kashmir. Let me talk about Kashmir. The UNSC resolutions is not rescinded. It is very much alive. It is still around. And that is why Mr. Ban Ki-moon,
why don't you vacate Pakistan occupied Kashmir and then we'll start discussing the UN resolution? Because the UN resolution first part is you've got to vacate Pakistan occupied Kashmir, Gilgit, Balochistan. Why don't you do that and then we'll discuss it?
I think we need to do that. I think we need to get together to talk about Kashmir. That is why Pakistan proposed to India just about a couple of weeks back. Let's get together, talk about Kashmir. I think we need to follow up on that.
Pakistani guests on Indian television clearly on the defensive. They have all along been last several months we have seen them really speaking on television and throwing all kinds of muck. But today they are put in their place. They know how to hide. They don't know how to hide their own human right violations in their own states. How they are fighting local uprising by bombing areas in Balochistan, by sending their fighter planes there, by killing people in their own country.
Wrong. Nothing like that is happening in Balochistan. You're entirely wrong, sir. You're entirely wrong.
Okay,
you're misrepresenting the facts. Nothing like this.
We don't expect you to speak the truth.
Can I? All right. I'm going to declare a truce on this particular television show. In any case, Air Vice Marshal Shahzad Chaudhary, always good to hear from you. And I'm going to call you up later, and I'm going to take you up on discussions on that journalistic delegation to Balochistan.
Please go ahead and let me know. We'll follow that up for you.
We'll certainly talk about it. I would love to come.